All right. We are live. Good afternoon, good evening to everybody out there watching. Um, Hope everybody's having a great day. Hope everybody's having a great week, month, year, season, all of the above. My name is Coach Lamont Vaughn, head track and field coach at Grambling State University. And this is episode 4 of Koach2Coach, where we sit down and we talk with fellow coaches in the track and field world and discuss some of the issues that we face as professionals in this business. As you can see on the screen, I've got a lot of coaches out here today, and we're going to talk about some things where for people who want to try and break into this profession. It's a noble profession. It's a great profession. So we're going to start talking about some of the issues that we face today in our profession as this sport continues to evolve and change. So with that, I'll start with Coach White, and we'll get the introductions of everybody.
I'm Coach White. I'm at Southern University, head men and women cross country and track and field coach. I've been at Southern University for 14 years. This is my 10th year as being a head coach, and just love helping young individuals.
Next up, whoever wants to go.
I guess I'll go. I'm Coach Kaplan. I'm currently at St. Elizabeth's High School in Wilmington, Delaware. This is my 9th year coaching. I've been in the college ranks anywhere from JUCO to Division I for the past 8 years, and decided to go to high school this year. Same as Coach White, I just love making an impact in kids' lives and love coaching.
I'm Coach Peters. I am first year here at Jacksonville College, first year full-time coach. Last year I was a graduate assistant at a school in Tennessee named Tusculum University, and then decided to make a pretty big move out here to Texas. And like I said, I'm brand new to this. So
my name is Tamario Ladden, Gems coach at Grambling State University. This is my 5th year coaching collegiately, 4th year at Grambling. Did some high school before that, and I coached at D2 in Wheeling, West Virginia, at Wheeling University before coming to Grambling. So I've been in high school D2, D1. So yeah.
Rockwall High School, and I coach football and I coach track. So be some good conversation. Was a hurdler back in the old days, and ran in college, ran at Cal Berkeley, and ran at UTSA 400-meter hurdler. And now in the coaching business, just trying to create opportunities for that were created for me by a coach who believed in me. And sometimes all it takes is that one coach. So just trying to be that for the kids.
Coach D. Haskins, first year head coach. I've been coaching for 10 years, but first year head track coach. And I'm one of those. I'm prior military Air Force veteran. I wasn't wanting to be a head coach, but I'm one of those that I'm gonna shoot my shot. So I saw the opportunity because I started coaching my daughter. Whole different story about that, but that led to this, and I'm like wanting to help kids that don't have let's say a fair chance or whatever. And so I saw the opportunity to try to coach my daughter out here in Virginia, and for her to have the facilities, and I shot my shot and got the job. So we've been rolling since. So yeah, that's about it right now.
I'm Alex Klein. I'm currently a volunteer assistant at the University of Florida. Spent the previous 2 years as an assistant coach at Middle Tennessee State University. Got into the sport as a bang average high school runner, and ended up being a manager at the University of Florida. And when graduation came and it was time to get to the real world, I decided that I wasn't ready to get rid of track and field, and I wanted to continue to be a part of my life, and ended up coaching. Year 4 now for me total in the sport, and looking forward to many more.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Coach Alex Ramachi. I coach Arkansas State University. I've been coaching for quite some time. I coach high school level, private sector, Division III. It's my second year at Arkansas State in the Division I ranks. I honored coaching basically the same reasons as all of you. I spent 6 years in the military, Marine Corps vet. Bring a lot of that to my coaching style and everything. I like to win a lot. I think track and field allows me to do that through developing young athletes to do things that I personally could never do. I was not a great athlete myself. I was pretty bad for Division III, and luckily I'm pretty good at science and the biomechanics and physiology of it all, and it got me all this way. Originally from Boston, Massachusetts, so as you can see, Arkansas is quite a bit away. So I took the leap of faith and bet on myself to uproot myself and my family all the way across country to coach at this great institution and be around the best athletes in the country and some of the best athletes in the world, and continue to live my dream and everything like that. So that's a little bit about me.
My name is Derek Seppi. I am the assistant coach at Trinity High School in Louisville. Track and field has been my first love as long as I could run. I competed at the Division II level in Nampa, Idaho. And after about a 7-year hiatus, while I was pursuing a graduate degree and establishing my career professionally, decided to get back into the sport. Reached out to my accountant is the business manager at the high school, and I asked if he knew of any opportunities, and he said, actually, all the coaches just retired, so now's a great time to get in. And so I've been coaching at Trinity in Louisville. This will be my 5th year.
Cool. Well, you see, we got a vast array of experience. We got a lot of different levels that are being represented today. But to kind of get the conversation started, this is literally about how to break into this profession. So, gentlemen, if you could just briefly discuss how you inserted yourself into the profession of track and field coaching. Anybody can start.
I'll go first. How I inserted myself, I've never really left the sport. In high school, I was a little bit, I had a free block in my last period before practice. So I would stay with my high school track coach and learn as much as I could. At the time, I was a sprinter, so I just delved right into it, and that kind of sprouted the seeds that led me to where I am today. I didn't think I was going to run in college. I took some time off, joined the military, then came, asked the head coach, and ended up running. It kind of kept me eligible for grades and school. It was just what I needed on my plate to keep going. If I didn't have it, I don't think I would have been as successful in college as I was in general. Leaving, I was asked to come back. I did a volunteer year. Then I was asked to come back and do a grad year. And I hate school, to be honest. I really do not like academic. If I'm not learning it, if it's not interesting, I really don't want to go to school. And when I did my 4.5, 5 years, I was done. I was like, I'm not coming back. They asked me to be a grad assistant. I was like, does that involve school? And they're like, yeah, but we'll pay for it. And I was like, do I get to coach? And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay, fine. I'll do it because I get to coach. I started out with the jumps, all 4 jumps, right? Long, triple, high, pole vault, about 24 kids there. So I was, at the time I already knew I really wanted to coach, because the year prior when I volunteered at the same institution, the athletes got on the bus, went to a meet that was 3.5 hours away, got to stay in a hotel room, and I couldn't go as a volunteer because there just wasn't money in the budget. Now this is Division III. There's not much money in general. So volunteers are not going to these, better meets that are away. And I knew at that moment, hey, I want to keep being around these kids. We did all this work together. I want to see them shine, on the big stage at these great meets. So coming back wasn't a huge deal for me, even though I had to go through some schooling. So that's kind of how I got into it. After my volunteer years, actually, when I drove into the USTF, CCCA academics and those certifications. So I got that. I got my USATF certification as well in that year before I even started grad school. So I was ahead of the curve of where a lot of coaches start when they go to grad school. They kind of know nothing besides what they did in college themselves. So I had a huge step, an advantage over all those other coaches, being able to help my athletes almost instantly and understand kind of the programming and why we do it. And then having, that coach that I was under and I was a grad assistant for to mentor me and guided me through some of the stuff that they don't teach you about in those courses and stuff like that. The X's and O's, was great, but there's obviously a lot of other stuff that all of that comes with the coaching and everything. And I just stepped at it, and I ended up dropping out of grad school after that first year because I hated it from the minute I got into it. It just wasn't for me. I was staring at the clock and everything. So I ended up going on the USDF-CCCA website. I saw options. I just applied to anything that was close by, and I just bet on myself, and was a head coach somewhere that bet on me. And I took the first job that was kind of given to me, that I had full autonomy of the programming, and from there it grew from sprints, just from jumps, to all sprints, all hurdles, all relays. So that was my first full-time gig. I had all those event groups to do at one time, still at the Division III level. But I was happy to take it because it was my baby. It was, the athletes that I could program from the ground up and really test myself. But that's how I got into it. And I also, stayed in touch with the coaches that I had in college, from the grad assistants to the head coach, and to other coaches. I just kept networking and kept being around the fire and in proximity to the people I wanted to be like, and at the levels I wanted to be around, and put them on my resume and had them reach out for me. And that got me kind of, in the door to be my GA and in the door to be my first job. And then from then on, I just kept making connections, and that kind of landed me here to, where I'm at now at the Division I level, all the way from D3. But that's how I got started into it. And, for me, it was just a lot of connections, a lot of talking to other coaches, a lot of being vocal and advocating for myself, and being present and being seen, and, mingling with coaches at meets. I know some coaches don't like that, but that's kind of what I do. And it helps take the pressure off me, because that is, sometimes your first interview is when you meet a coach at a meet, the way you respond, the way you're respected, or the way that you act and behave or treat your athletes. A lot of times that was your first interview. So coaches would be like, yeah, I remember you from so-and-so, offer me an interview, and then kind of go from there. But that's how I got started into it. That's how I, why I'm kind of still into it as well. But that's how I went from high school and, volunteer and grad assistant to now at the Division I level.
Cool.
I'll go second. Actually, it's really really was strange for me how I got into coaching. I actually was about to start continuing in to throw throw post collegiately. So my first year out of college, I missed Olympic trials by like 2 spots, and I was on my high school track getting ready to train for the next year to start training. And one of my high school teammates, he kind of needed some help coaching middle school football. And so I helped him coaching middle school football. He didn't have any help, so I ended up helping him. And then after football season was over, I got another call. My dad worked with a guy, asked what I was doing, and he I was pretty decent in track and field. So I ended up coaching high school track. So I coached high school track that year, had a couple of kids made it to state, just really coaching the throws. And that led me on to going coach at my high school for 1 year. So I coached at my high school for 1 year. And it was a great experience for me. Had some kids that had some success and everything. But I still had a taste that I still wanted to compete. So had a guy right before me named Brian Johnson. He got the job at Southern University. I'm just reading the papers and like, man, I'm happy for the guy. I didn't really know him at the time or anything, but like 2 days later, he called me up. I missed his call. I called him back. So he told me he just became the head coach at Southern University, and he wanted to know if I was interested in being his throwing coach. So he said, I said, yeah, I'm interested. He said, well, just send me your resume. And like maybe like 2 hours later that day, he said, when can you start? I said, I can start in about 2 weeks. He said, I'll see you then. And from there, I've been at Southern ever since. So I've been at Southern. I was his assistant for 4 years and ended up becoming the head coach the last 10 years. So that's how it's been for me. And I had some people that helped me throughout the way and all of that stuff. But I just meet great people, and just like my first guy said, just talking to different people, and just things just kind of just fall in your lap. But at the end of the day, I just keep working hard and just try to keep doing what I do. And that's how I kind of got into coaching. I didn't really plan to just go in it at the time, but it just fell in my lap, and it just feel like I'm still competing as being an athlete. So that's how I got into coaching.
Cool.
My story kind of aligns a little bit with Coach Alex's. So you might hear some like similar parallels there. But honestly, when I was in college, I wasn't even supposed to be a track and field athlete. I was on a baseball scholarship my freshman year, and I ended up blowing out my entire shoulder. And I remember getting a text from the track and field coach, who I never met before. You know, you hear stories about him on campus, and he kind of just texted me and said, "Hey, you're gonna run track for me." And you know, I kind of thought my athletic career was over at that point until I got that text, and I ended up, you know, throwing javelin for him, attempting to run some short sprints. Never never was as good as the other sprinters we have. I started at the D3 level, just like you, Coach Alex, and I worked my way up. I got lucky enough that I kind of got forced after I became a 4-year captain at the college that I was at accidentally. And when I graduated, my head coach kind of just told me, you know, didn't really give me much of a choice. And I'm grateful for that. Kind of just told me, you're going to stay with me and coach. Because at that time I didn't know what I was doing. But I'm really grateful that happened. And then he ended up transitioning to a Division I school, and I was one of the coaches he took with him. So I got my opportunity to break in and be one of the youngest Division I coaches at the time. So without him, and then I got to take over a junior college program, be a head coach, and work my way up through there, and got to coach some NCAA All-Americans, some national champions. You know, I ran programs, got to be associate head coach. But for me, kind of how I stuck is because I've always been more of a people person. You know, being the captain of my college team, I really enjoyed relationships. So for me, I found my niche in recruiting, and being in recruiting. Coach Alex, I thank you for recruiting the Delaware area a lot. I know some of the girls that you recruited already. So, gem of the state here. But I will say, you know, for me, I kind of found my niche in recruiting, and then also just building up my athletes as they go. But I got to stay in it for as long as I am now. And for me, you know, I love coaching and getting into it. Just like Coach White and Coach Alex, it's more of just like for me, relationship building. And getting to meet people along the way. Like my mentor, you know, Coach Vaughn and I talked about it earlier today. Coach Vaughn coached my mentor. So hopefully that doesn't make you feel too old, Coach. But
I got gray hairs for a reason.
I know, you know, I'm getting them too. I'm coach high school now, so it's a whole different world, as you know, the other high school coaches can probably esteem. So, you know, for me, I love it getting to see both ends of it, from like the JUCO grind to the D3 to the D2 to the D1, and you know, now high school. So, you know, I got into it just from relationships, just like everybody else, and continuing to build them now. And you know, I love it, and I wouldn't want to do anything else.
I'll jump in if and Coach Line, you want to go?
Oh, you got it. I got the.
Okay. I wasn't supposed to be involved in track and field at all when I finished running in high school. I was a regular student at the University of Florida. Didn't know, and one day I was out for a run. I needed a break leading up to finals week. I was like, let me go let off some steam. Let me go run. I run by the track and I see a bunch of random unathletic dudes setting up cones and shooting the gun for Coach Holloway. And I said, I can be one of those random unathletic dudes who sets up cones and shoots a gun for Coach Holloway. So I reached out to him, to Coach Welty, sent a bunch of emails, literally about a dozen emails. And I think finally they got annoyed with me sending emails and asked me to come out to the track. And it started right there. Started my spring semester, my freshman year. Ended up being a manager. Obviously got to work alongside some great athletes, incredible staff there throughout my time there, and learned a lot. And like I said earlier, when I came time to graduate, I realized how miserable I was that one semester where I didn't have track and field in my life, and I wasn't quite ready to let it go. So I reached out to Coach Holloway and pretty much just said, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is a realistic idea and something I can pursue? And he was nice enough to let me volunteer the first year after I graduated. And then I was very fortunate for Keith Roman at Middle Tennessee State, after he took over that program, to offer me a job there. And I was ready to prove that, you know, just because I had a gator on my chest, I didn't just have some magic pixie dust. I actually knew what I was doing, knew that I could help develop athletes, not just athletes from, you know, the top we were looking to compete for NCAA titles, but having walk-ons at a mid-major school that, can we develop them? Can we help them score? Can we help them, get what they want out of the sport? And I think that's something that all of us can relate to is, when we see a kid on our roster, whether, no matter what level they are, what abilities, as coaches, we want to make sure that they're enjoying their time in the sport, because this sport has given so much to us, and we want to be able to pass it off to all of them, regardless of whether or not they're standing on top of the podium or maybe they don't even make the travel team. So I think that's something we can all relate to.
Go for it, lad.
Yeah. So for me, man, growing up in Louisiana, we play all sports. I did football, basketball, track. So I didn't know which one I would do. I loved all three. But eventually, when I went to college for track, I just come home for the breaks. I go back to the old school and help my coach, and I liked it. So I just kept doing it. And, just like Coach White, I tried the post-collegiate thing after college. I did that. And when COVID hit, it shut that down for me. And I was like, okay, I'm not good enough to go pro. So I got to find my next move. And one of my best friends was coaching football at the time. He started his football journey. He was like, man, see if track does grad assistant like football does. And I was like, all right, I'll look into that. And I just started calling around. And a lot of coaches saying, oh, yeah, try the school, call this person. So during that summer, during COVID, I just took a chance and went to West Virginia and to a small D2 in the middle of nowhere. 15 hours, packed my car up and went up there. And I did a year up there. Had a pretty solid year. And it was kind of, I don't say homesick, but it's kind of a different feel. So I knew Coach Vaughn was at Grambling. He was with me at Tech, the sprint coach. So I called Coach like, hey, man, I'm trying to come back home. Y'all got a spot for me at Grambling? He was like, I said I can do I ask. And so having my best friend who put me on to that GA stuff, he got on in football at Grambling. So he was like, hey, bro, we never got a chance in college to be roommates. I'm at Grambling now, man. Come on, we can do it. And I was like, all right, man, come on, let's go. So I just came back home and I did it. And I've been here for 4 years. So, I think this is the right move I made. And so I was going to be a coach. I just didn't know what sport and nothing, but track chose me and I jumped all in it. So that's my journey, how I got into it.
I had a somewhat similar situation in the end. I ran track in high school, figured out that, hey, I can do this pretty well. I can run. Wanted to play football, but, came to my senses and learned that track was where it was for me. Went to a Division II school in Nampa, Idaho, ran at Northwest Nazarene University, competed, all over the Northwest. Then my last, I applied to grad school at University of Southern California to get a film degree, and I got deferred initially, and so I had some time, and so I spent the first year, or the first year of waiting for that to go down there to assistant coach. Couple of the guys still competing below me after I graduated. They went on to compete at the national meet. So that was a good experience to not only help my brothers that I had just competed with the year prior, but help them reach their goals. Then went to USC, got a film degree. Like I said, had a little hiatus while I was pursuing that. That takes up a lot of your time. And anybody knows the film industry, it takes up all of your time, especially when you work for yourself. So moved to Kentucky, got a job working on a movie here, and didn't take too long for things to completely stop during COVID. So there was no work, nothing to go around, and kind of felt this thing missing in my life. And like I said, my accountant was the business manager at the local high school. So I said, hey, is there anything going on? He said, actually, yes. They've got some openings. So ever since then, I've been coaching at the high school level. Absolutely love it. I wish that I had these kids for more than the time that I do, because I love it. I love watching them compete. I love just sitting back at a meet and watching them hit a PR and just freaking out about it. Track it's always going to be in my life, and I just have to tell her that I'm sorry that I took a brief hiatus while I was pursuing grad school, but that's my story.
Hey, Coach, I'm also an actor as well. I don't know, Coach Vaughn. No, I have a what's it, IMD.
He does have an IMDb
IMDb.
credit. Everybody, he does have one.
Work. My people call your people. We can.
Club DJ.
Sure.
Oh my God, Club DJ.
All right.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of like Coach Ladd and I grew up in the South, so I played every sport, football, basketball, track, even baseball, even dabbled in a little tennis a little bit. I wasn't that good, but I tried it. But went to college, played football, and I was always fast. My wife was fast. She ran track in college. She went to Euler for hurdles, and so when we had kids, we knew one of them gonna have some kind of talent or whatever. And so just so happened, my middle daughter, she competed at everything, like from eating to, I was like, we got to get her in sports. She loves to compete. And so I was in the military at the time, and we sought out a AAU club, and come to find, and she joined the team, and I didn't go to the first couple of practices, and I went to the practice, and I noticed the coach, he was only focused on like 3 or 4 girls, and you've heard these girls. One of them is committed to Georgia, Skylar Brazil. He was like, we're only focusing on these 3 girls because they are going to Junior Olympics. And I'm just like, wait a minute, like, what about all the kids like my daughter with bad form and just out here brand new? You just not gonna focus on them? Well, he had some other guy just running them, and I'm just like, no. I can't do that. I can't allow my daughter to be a part of that. Come to find out, he was my fraternity brother, and I didn't even know it. When I found out, I didn't tell him because I didn't want him to be like, okay, well, let me take care of her. No, you got to take care of all the kids. And so I end up, I had started teaching because I went reserve. I had started teaching and coaching at a school in Dallas, and I was coaching football and middle school track. First time coaching hurdles. I didn't know anything about hurdles, so I'm calling my wife like, "Hey, what do I tell these kids? I don't know anything about hurdles." And so anyway, found the AAU club and started coaching with AAU and at the middle school. And so from then on, I was coaching my daughter all through school. And so for me, I never was like, I'm not a LeBron. I don't have a lot of money where I can put my daughter in a spot and, hey, you go make money. So I felt like I need to put myself in a position to where I know she's going to be coached good. She's going to have facilities. She's going to be taken care of because I'm going to be the one taking care of her. Like who's better to take care of her, make sure she's good. So that was my goal throughout those 10 years of coaching. And we moved out here, and it was the same thing. I was researching the area and coming out here, looking at schools and seeing who had tracks. And a lot of the schools out here in Virginia in the 757 don't have tracks. And I was just like, there's only a few. And so I found Hampton High School, and I was like, all right, so when we do move out there, like, I'm going to try to get a job, and maybe we can move to that area or whatever. That way I can make sure she's good. Well, I shot my shot. Like I said earlier, I'm a shooter, so I shot my shot. Never had any head coaching experience in any sport. And so had an interview, did well, had a second interview, and just so happened school had already started, so I didn't get to coach my daughter. She's at another school. And so that's how I got in it, man. And I will say that, even through coaching football in Texas and track in Texas, my goal has always been the same. It's been about the kids. A lot of coaches that I run across, they don't care. And it was like that to me in high school. It was done to me. I feel like I was used up my senior year. That was it. So I've always been the coach that I'm trying to help these kids. I coach hard. and I let them know that I coach hard. But I also let them know that you bust your butt for me. You work hard for me. I'm going to do my best to help you achieve your goal, whether it's that's playing at the next level, running at the next level, going to the military, whatever it is, I'm going to be there for you. So that's kind of been my mission in all of this. And so I've enjoyed it because I don't have sons. I have all daughters. And so they like my sons. And that's how I treat it. That's how I take care of them, man. So that's me. That's my story.
I'm from a small town in South Texas, Rio Grande Valley. I'm a coach's kid. My dad used to be a head football coach at a small school. So growing up, always around the field house, always around football and track, and because track was always off-season football conditioning for old school mentality, right? That's how it used to be. So as a coach's kid, he's like, "You're gonna run track," because I thought I was gonna go play in the NFL, right? That's what we all think. He's like, "You're gonna run track, but not only are you gonna run track, you're gonna hurdle because you need to be able to think while you're running. It's gonna help you with football." So, of course, if it was gonna help me with football, I was all in. So I started hurdling at a young age, like 5th, 6th grade. Ended up, high school career, ended a state champion in Texas in the 300 hurdles. 2-time, I went junior year and senior year medal. Got to race against dudes that Greg Coleman and Kenneth Minka and some wild, crazy fast guys out here in Texas. And where I'm from, you don't really have that success in track. But I was able to go to University of California, go run out there out west, and then had some stuff happen at home and brought me back to San Antonio, UTSA. Finished my career there, ran the 400 hurdles, Conference USA champion. And then, like the middle child that I am, everyone told me, "You're going to coach just like your dad." And my older sister is a head volleyball coach, and you're going to coach just like them. And naturally, I try to do something different. So I stayed in school, got my master's degree in business, and worked in food sales and produce and did all that stuff for about 5 years. And then one of my high school track coaches finally reached out and said, quit wasting your time. We got a job back at my old high school where I coached at. The coach that's there was the assistant when I was in high school. And he said, "Come on home. We got a hurdle spot open. We got a football position open. Teaching field is going to be business." And that's how I got into it. Before that, I was doing private training at the time in the San Antonio area. So my private business grew from one kid that I started with through the help of my college coach at UTSA. And then I ended up having 14 kids on a weekend, right? That was my peak, and I was really excited about it. And I was still wearing a suit and tie Monday through Friday, and I didn't really feel that way about it. I was more excited for my long Sunday from noon to 5 than I was Monday through Friday. So that's when I realized it was different for me. And just like I said earlier, I had a coach that took a chance on me, invested a lot of time in me. And I was able to travel the country and go to Virginia, go run at University of Virginia. I was able to go to Seattle. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I was able to go to Seattle. I was able to do all this stuff that I never would have thought I'd be able to do. Race against Olympians. Like I lived my dream, and it was because the coach invested time in me. And now I feel like I'm in the position now where all it takes, especially at the high school level, like you were talking about, there's plenty of coaches that are doing it because they have to. It's their second sport for football. It's, it's on the back burner for a lot of places. And I've been fortunate to be in places where that's not the case. And I've been surrounded by people that have taught me how to do it the right way. And I'm just trying to create that opportunity for kids, man. And when kids sign, when they taste that little bit of success and they, get to go on a visit to an unofficial or official visit to a school, and they're catered to and food, and they are mind blown. Like I said, the area that I come from is just not as common. So just try to help them out, man. And that's it. That's my heart. That's where my heart's at. And it's doing well. And now I get to do stuff like this. I'm on the Texas Track and Field Coach Association board. So I'm really trying to just expand that role and help out however I can, and doing stuff like this, like trying not to be afraid to go and meet people and not be intimidated by a bunch of college coaches that are on here, and just realize that, hey, I'm just a kid that's living the dream, and a lot of you guys are, and just trying to continue to do that as best as I can.
Cool. So, if anybody kind of want to see my story, I kind of lead off the episodes with mine. I mean, I'm not going to run back down into that. Please watch the first 3 episodes. You want to hear a little bit more detail of mine. But, to summarize it, I grew up around coaching. My father was my high school coach. I went to University of Kentucky and under Daryl Anderson, who's back at my alma mater now. And if it wasn't for people like him and John Kennison, I would have never gotten started. Shout out to Coach Kennison, shout out to DA. And they basically started me on my journey. And now I'm here now 28 years into it. But getting deeper into the conversation, we got a great question here in the chat from Miss Rachel Peters. What was our biggest struggles as a coach starting out? I'll kind of start that one off myself. I kind of look at struggles as phases. Now I'm 28 years in. When I first started out, I thought it was X's and O's. I'm a half mile, a quarter miler by trade. Um, I was around some really good short sprinters like Tim Harden, a multiple NCAA champion and a 96 Olympian. I had Passion Richardson as a teammate who was on the 2000 Olympic team. Daryl Anderson is one of the best coaches in on this planet. And I thought it was going to be the X's and O's. So starting off, I literally thought it was just going to be learning how to coach hurdles, learning how to coach short sprints, learning how to coach 400 and 400 hurdles. I thought I knew everything I needed to know about the 8 because I ran it. And so I had to learn that, and this is something that DA taught me, was you got to remember you're not coaching yourself, you're not coaching your teammates. And so you got to branch out, learn different systems, learn different training methodologies, those type of things. But as you get a little bit seasoned in it, you realize it's really not necessarily the X's and O's. It's learning how, and this is where I got from my dad. There's a difference between turning pro and being a professional. I had to learn what the profession was. I had to learn when I finally branched into college coaching, I had to learn recruiting and compliance. I had to learn budget management at a higher level. I had to learn how to, hire, and becoming a head coach, you had to learn how to hire staff, go through all of those things. So I think everybody kind of struggles with things, and, winning is a totally different thing, right? It's not just recruiting. It's not just coaching. It's creating a culture that's going to support winning. And I think right now, where I am currently in my life, as now my second stint as a head coach, still only 3 years in it, is learning how to create that culture, and not only create it. Once you think you got it going, how do you sustain it? So I think biggest struggles, I think they're all relative. 28 years ago, I literally thought it was I got to learn how to coach the hurdles, and I'd be immensely nervous at it. Then getting into college coaching, I got to learn how to recruit, and then you get further in, and it's I got to learn how to manage this budget. I got to learn how to hire staff. So I think it's all relative. So I wouldn't call any of them the biggest struggle. I think they were just relative to where I was as a coach at that time. So, but we've got other coaches here that are in different stages of their career. What are your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, I'll go first on that too, just because that's I think about this question a lot, just in general. Um, the biggest struggle I've had, and I'd say outright, is I'm young, man. I'm young. I'm always gonna look young. I got those genes, and I'm blessed, thank God. But I'm always gonna be young. Right? I could be 50 years old. I'm not gonna look much different than I do now. I don't look much different than I did at 16 or high school. And why is that? My biggest struggle is the kids think I'm their age. Right, I'm over 10 years older than our freshmen. They still think I'm their brother, or their buddy. So being able to I don't want to say crack that whip, but for lack of better term, crack that whip. And I can do it fine. Again, I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years. And that is my other struggle. I was in the military for 6 years. So for me, discipline's real easy. Being able to get chewed out and then go right back to business as usual is easy, right? having the discipline to do certain things and, you know, being loud and being a little bit aggressive. That was my demeanor because of the military. So having to tone that down for coaching, having to understand that all these athletes, you know, they're not me. You know, they're not the top kids on the team that will do everything you tell them. You got to take a different approach to them. You can't always be hard on every single kid, right? I have athletes in my program right now that I can be as hard as I want. I could probably cuss them out. I don't, but I probably could, and they'd be fine with it and keep it going and trust me as a coach. Whereas others, I have to have a soft touch with them. I have to sit them down. I have to speak to them a different way than I do other athletes. So for me, that was a struggle because, you know, it was hard for me to come in and be like, why doesn't everyone who does an athletic sport, you know, at the collegiate rank want it as bad as I do as a coach? Why do they not come in with the same mentality that I do? Right. And in the military, everyone has that similar mentality to come in, get the mission accomplished, and then go on about your business. College is not necessarily that way. And being young makes it harder because they don't always take it serious. Right. I can be hard. I can, you know, try to get the group together, and it doesn't always work with these kids because a lot of these kids that I work with, at least the collegiate ranks, come from a background where they were never held accountable. And when they were, they gaffed it off and kept going. And hey, you know, you're the best kid you know, best athlete that we've got on the team. So you know what? I'm going to let you do what you want. Not me, not Division I, and certainly not even when I was at Division III. You're not going to come in and do what you want. But that's a hard thing for me because, you know, how hard can I be on these kids? And, you know, it gets into murky waters of, you know, you can get fired for being too hard on a kid. That's kind of the area that we are with collegiate coaching sometimes. You know, I say, you know, I may say something, a kid may take it the wrong way. Now I get fired because I hurt a kid's feelings when that's not my intention as a coach. It's none of our intentions as a coach. So those are my biggest struggles, you know, coming out of the military, and also, you know, just being young. The kids don't always take you so serious, but, you know, my head coach can talk and they'll listen to him right away. Why is that? The very simple answer is I'm young. I look young. I'm always going to be young. I'm in, you know, knowing that that's always going to be something I'm going to struggle with. The kids that I recruit, you know, may not always pan out. They may, you know, challenge authority, and I may not get that through the recruit visit or, you know, the recruiting, you know, that I do. I may just show up when they're here, and lo and behold, they just, you know, don't respect me the way they do someone who's older, right? Like, you know, Coach Vaughn, he obviously looks older than I am. They're going to respect him right off the rip a lot easier than me, just because I look like I'm still an athlete, and I'm always probably going to look that way. So that is my biggest struggle. It has been hard for sure. But I've been lucky to have great coaches and great mentors along the way to help me get through that. And I'm very lucky with the head coach I do have here. He, you know, he sits me down and we talk about it, and he always has my back. If a kid is going to go around me because of something I said to them, the head coach will stand by me and stand by all of his assistant coaches and be like, you know, he's the coach. What he says goes. You're going to listen to him if you want to become a part of this program and stuff like that. And I'm very appreciative of that. Not every assistant coach has a head coach that will, you know, go to bat for them and you know, put their job on the line for them. So I've been very lucky in my career to have several coaches that, you know, will do that and mentor me and let me know, hey, maybe that's, you know, you can't do that yet with these kids, or, you know, you got to build a little bit more trust. And, you know, so I've been very lucky with that. So, you know, sorry, Rachel, that's kind of a long-winded answer, but, you know, being young and coming out of the military, those are my biggest struggles, and I'm still dealing with it every single day.
Got you. Anybody else?
I think
Hold up. I got to add to this because it's actually my sister that had asked the question. So, and she just graduated from the Air Force a year ago. So she got a military background as well. Alex, but my biggest struggle this year has been, this is my first year coach. I'm trying to set a standard at a very relatively new program. And doing that, I realize I'm still learning what kind of standard I want to set, because I've never had to do that before, right? And I'm in this situation where I'm trying to eliminate a lot of negativity. Like last year was not a good year for the program, and going through, like we started the year with 30 sprinters, and now we're down to 20. You know, I've had 10 people quit, and that's been tough on me. Just trying to figure out what the heck do I need to do to set a standard to where, like, this is a program that I'm proud of and the people that are in it are proud of. And so calling people like my mentors and just, you know, where do I draw a line? Where do I, you know, pick and choose a battle or whatever? It's definitely been something interesting to learn. And like Coach Vaughn said, I came in like, okay, I'm a decent sprints and hurdles coach, whatever. Um, but what do I got to do to actually get these athletes to trust that I am a decent sprints and hurdles coach? Um, because if they don't trust you, then they're not going to get better. So that's been my biggest struggle. Um, and yeah, I'm not one to sit here and yap too long. I like to keep it pretty short-winded. So, but just want to get my thoughts on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me, it's my biggest struggle coming up in coaching was I had a little bit of a disadvantage because I didn't start track and field until I got to college my freshman year. I never knew anything about track and field, but I kind of made that my advantage because I had to learn quickly. So I learned, and it made me become more grateful and appreciate the sport more. So I think for me, being able to just learn and understand the sport a little bit quicker than everybody else, uh, in my opinion, when I was younger and getting into coaching, I thought it was a disadvantage of mine. But I also got to bring in some positives from being somebody an outsider to the sport as well. Like I started coaching when Twitter X, I think, was becoming the best way of recruiting too. So coming in as somebody who a little bit new, I got to use some of tactics that I would have liked when I was being recruited like a couple years before that, and bringing some things, trying to incorporate some ideas that weren't commonly used in the track and field world at the time. So for me, like learning the sport, I got to and being newer and just going through being an athlete process of it too. I tried to incorporate things that I thought as somebody new in the sport, just like myself, would enjoy more. I think it was something to bring more people in because of that. But then there's also I had the progressive changes like Coach Vaughn talked about. Starting off at a Division III school, I loved our athletic director, but it also we were at it's track and field. It's just going to a school that didn't have a lot of support at the time, and I feel like all of us coaches right here, unless you're in probably Texas, we're put on the back burner a lot. So for me, coming from a sport for like baseball or even wrestling in high school from the state of Pennsylvania, I wasn't used to being in the sport that was always put in the back burner too. So I had to learn how to integrate myself properly at the right time to athletic directors and coaches and mentors to try to be more progressive with the sport. So just trying to learn everything at one time.
I like to talk about it. So I think I eliminated one of my biggest struggles of coaching within my second year of coaching. For me, I think that struggle was for me when I first started coaching. My second year of coaching was at my high school. So being at my high school, a lot of the kids already knew who I was or whatever, and I had some cousins, some friends, maybe a younger brother or whatever that knew me. So it was for me to separate myself of being an older athlete and becoming a coach. So just having talks with the head football coach who was there at the time, because I started off kind of like in a football background, and he talked to me and he kind of guided me in a way early on for the say you got to separate that, them being your friend and you being a coach. So once I got that, I think I was fine with everything. So once I got into the college round, on day one I kind of put that down, and I felt like I always had to respect ever since I really had to have that talk from someone that kind of been in the coaching game for a while, and I think I got that as being young. But the main thing as far as what I think of, just coaching is just kind of just, especially in track and field, so individual based, it's just kind of setting goals with the kids early on. I mean, you're going to have your team goals, but those individual goals, just kind of pulling them in and you having a conversation with that kid and asking them what their goals is, seeing what their expectations are, and you kind of putting expectation and goals in with it. And so I think that's a way of holding the kids accountable, knowing that they want to do this and they want to do that. But at the same time, when they're putting those goals down and they're saying, even if it's a academic goal, we're gonna go over all of that stuff. And so soon as they kind of go off track, you kind of remind them of the goals that they set early on. And I think when I started doing that, that kind of put everything on track and make everything shift in the right way. But with my team, I treat them like family. So they all my kids. I feel like all of them my kids. Like my coaches, I feel like they're my brothers and sisters. And the way I go about it, I know it's gonna be some normal days. I know it's gonna be some stormy days. I know it's gonna be some sad days. But that's all a part of life. So, we just live in life every day, and
Yeah.
every day come with a different challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, just to piggyback on that, man. I mean, just going through the struggles, get yourself a group of peers that you can talk to, and bounce things off of, and I think I got a great group. I mean, Coach White is one of my peers that I bounce ideas off of. Shoot, we were talking earlier about some things. But when I started off, it was guys like Eric Jenkins that's now at South Florida. It's guys like um, you know Ray Williams at Washburn and Kareem Jackson at Wisconsin. We weren't where we were at that point. So just to bounce ideas off of them, and then you add people like Coach Welty over at Florida, and then you got to have your mentors that are doing the things that you're trying to do, that you can help manage your struggles. But to be totally honest, the biggest resource that you can have, to help manage through any type of struggle that you have, is what you have at home. Really, if you've got a spouse, a significant other, a family member that is supporting you, create a support system that you can lean on. And one of the things that I had to learn was how to really allow those people to help me. I remember having a conversation with my wife one time, saying that she knew exactly what she signed up for. Don't deny me the opportunity to help you. And that was big because early in my career, I internalized like crazy. I would be physically ill trying to learn how to win and create a winning culture, and I would internalize it and I'd bring that stuff home, or I try not to bring it home. And my wife knows me better than anybody else on this planet, and she knew something was up. And so she'd ask me, what's wrong? What's going on? And me thinking that I'm saving her from it, I would just hold it and internalize it, but it was eating me up. And she knew that, and she cared about me, and just knew that, she could help me. She may not be able to X and O her way through it for me, but she could at least know, or let me know that I was supported and it was going to be all right. And maybe her experiences at her job and her experiences at her life can maybe help me reach a young person that I didn't know how to reach. So I think, when we talk about our biggest struggles, they're not always the stuff that we face in the office or on the track. I think sometimes they're just stuff that we face in just our environment as a whole. But yeah, so I think these are all great responses to it. I kind of want, for the sake of time, just kind of keep moving on. I got a friend that just texted me here, and I'm gonna put it up here in a second. Um, I want to get to the next question. How do you break into college track and field coaching, and what are head coaches look for? Myself, Coach White. I don't think is there anybody else that's a head coach right now, at the collegiate level on the chat. I don't think so. Um, but feel free, Coach White. I'll let you go ahead and chime in, and then I'll chime in after you.
The biggest thing with a head coach you're looking for is trust. You're looking for somebody that you can trust. And it's not only about coaching all the time. You're just looking for somebody that you could trust, and somebody that's going to be there every day with you and work hard with you and everything. That's the main thing. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody that's willing to uh, to learn and just grow. And if you could do that, you can work anywhere.
True, true, true. I mean, I've got my assistant coach here on the call right now. I mean, I would definitely agree on that. The thing that I found as a head coach is, to be totally honest, the easiest thing that you can do as a head coach is hire somebody who can coach, right? Anybody with a resume has proven that they can coach something, right? So you got to dive a little bit deeper into it. I got to know that you can represent the program. I got to know that you can follow instructions. I got to know that I can trust you with young people. that you won't take advantage of them and put them in compromising positions. I got to know that you're going to represent the instructions that I give you, the trust that I give you in a manner that's going to not only lead to production, but also, a reputation. I had to learn early as an assistant coach that you are a direct representative of the head coach's decision making. And shout out to Coach Holloway. One of the first things he told me when I became a head coach is, you are responsible for everybody that has a seat in the table. And when you have your first staff meeting, the last thing you can be is outnumbered. So, and if you are outnumbered, you're responsible for that because you allowed those people access to the room and you allowed them access to the table. So, I'm thankful for Coach Latin, and the work that he's done, not only just because of the production that he's had. I mean, we had two 25-foot long jumpers on our team last year. We had three 19-foot long jump women on our team. We had a young lady that the high jump 5'10" and 3/4 on the team. We had, three jumpers at regionals, two 25-footers and a 5'10" high jumper. I know he can get it done there. But the work that he does for me, getting things done with our travel, the work that he's doing there, the work that he continues to do recruiting, bringing more people on the table, making those phone calls, going and do those visits. I know when I send him on the road that I can trust him to represent not only Grambling State University, but my tenure as the head coach in a positive light. So, if people think that your resume gets you hired, it's really not your resume, it's your reference sheet. Who vouches for what you know, and can you do the job? I just my experience. I remember getting hired at UCLA under Coach Mike Maynard, and one of the things that Coach Maynard told me was he canvassed every last great sprint coach that he could think of, and asked him for 5 names that can do the job, and coach the sprints and hurdles at UCLA for the men. And he told me that I was the only one that appeared on all of those coaches' lists. Now it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, but it just kind of goes to show that it's really these relationships that are built. It's these conversations that are had. Usually by the time you see an opening, that head coach probably already has already talked to maybe 5 to 10 people at that point, right? So they might already have an idea. So it's really about what really is gonna break through to that head coach to say, okay, this person's worth an interview. It really at the end of the day is gonna be your reference sheet. You need people that's gonna vouch for you. That's gonna call that coach on behalf of you and really, sell it almost for you. You can put names on a reference sheet. Don't just name drop. Put people that actually know you. And I know these job postings ask for for 3 references. I'm not gonna lie, on my reference sheet, I have 9 people. You pick the 3 who you want to talk to, right? But all these people know me, they know who I am. Not just vouching for me and my production as a coach, but they vouch for me as a person. They vouch for me as a professional. So I think, as a head coach now, when I do have openings, I'm really looking for that person, not only that I can trust, but I know that can do the job in between the job. That's really what I'm looking for. And I don't want to see Coach Ladd go, but hey, he's on a trajectory. I think he's the best jump coach under the age of 30 in this country. And so, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to advocate for him. If there's a good job opening in the near future or in the future, I'm going to call who I need to call, because I'm seeing him elevate. I'm seeing him elevate his recruiting. I'm seeing him elevate what he does in the office professionally, handling our travel and other duties. So, yeah, I want Grambling State University to be the place where great coaches get their start. But that's me knowing, where I was as a coach, where he is as a coach, where this program is and where it's going. So, we value people that we can trust to do the job in between the job. The easiest thing you do is the X's and O's. You can go online. You can go to USAT, the USTF CCA stuff. You can go to USATF. You can, I mean, shout out to Fast University. You can sit there and watch Fast University every day, and you can pick up on some stuff to teach people. That's the easy part. The hard part is the conversations. The hard part is holding people accountable. The hard part is creating a culture. The hard part is doing the details. People don't think of this stuff when they want to break into college coaching. Everybody thinks it's first world stuff, right? You're going to get big money. You're going to have less headaches. I hear, I mean, even when I was a high school coach, I thought, oh, shoot, this is harder at high school because if I want a 200 runner, I got to make one. In college, you just go recruit one, or you go offer a scholarship and you buy one. And I got to the college level and it was just something totally different. So, we all learn our lessons. But, to break into this, it's beyond the X's and O's. It's beyond the state champions and the all regions and the all districts. It's beyond the all Americans and all of that. It's really the devil's in the details on it. So, with that said, anybody have any questions that they wanted to get out?
Yeah, I got a quick question for the older coaches in the chat. Knowing, let's say you were a young coach now, and looking at the landscape of how the NCAA is changing, would you decide that coaching is the career you want to do? Because I know it's some major changes going on. So
I'll say, yeah. I because I love what I do. But that's again me with the knowledge of the past 28 years. I have zero regrets. I and every era is going to be different. When I started in the late 90s, it was a different era than 20, 30 years before, right? So whoever's starting out now, you're dealing with what you're dealing with now. There's a future in it. um, if you go back and look at episode one, where Coach Holloway basically said if an AD hasn't told you track's going anywhere, your job is to make track and field at your university better. So track's not going anywhere now, right? So if you can break in, you can get this stuff done, you're gonna adjust just like I have over the last 28 years. I mean, when I first started, there was no social media, right? There was, no technology boom the way that it is now. And we adjusted. So all this stuff that's coming up now, everybody that's in this thing now, everybody that gets in it, they're gonna adjust. That's just what it is. I thought there was gloom and doom at the convention, before the convention, when all this stuff started coming out, but really I've kind of turned over a new leaf with it. Track and field is still alive, and and when my time is up, whenever that is, my goal is to leave it better than what I found it, and the next generation will take it and take it to the level that they're going to take it. But you haven't seen a decline in performances. I mean, 2067 didn't get in the NCAA indoor meet in men's 200 this weekend, right? There's 305 teams indoors in the men's 4x4 that's not in the fast heat. It's still alive. It's still well. You're still seeing the mid majors and whatnot, still knee deep in it. You still see some great HBCU athletes. Everybody's got a shot. So yeah, track and field, it's an honest sport. If you do the work, you can break in, you can get in, and you can have a great successful career. I'm just trying to do whatever I can do, and do my part to make sure that whatever you step into, that it is solid footing. So yeah, I have no regrets. Yeah, I do it over again. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got some. So I know you asked like, how do you know this is something you want to do? It's different for everybody, right? I mean, how do I know I want to do it personally? I mean, I don't know what else I'd be doing, right? I got a degree in biology, minor in nutrition, and minor in coaching. I probably could have been a biomechanist sometime, right? If I wanted to go to more school, but we all know I don't like school that much. This is the closest thing I can get to being a biomechanist, to being a PT, a AT, all that. It kind of, for me, is the best of, several different worlds, right? Our world, collides with the therapist world and the biomechanist world. It all overlaps, and it all is, to do something better is to, develop athletes to be faster, jump further, jump higher, throw further, right? So for me, it's like, what else would I be doing, And there's a lot I could do, but there's nothing I really want to do. Like there's nothing else that's really going to get me out of bed, right? And I'm lucky I don't have to be at work at a certain time, but I get there when I get there, and the head coach trusts me. I'm going to do a good job, and I love what I do. I love that I get to go out there and do 2-3 practices a day. I love that I'm out there in 80-degree weather right now, catching a tan. I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts. What other job can you really do and wear t-shirts and shorts, and affect so many people, right? In 1 year, I get to impact 20, 30 kids, and how many other professions can you really do that? I still have kids from my other universities that I coached at texting me saying, "Hey coach, I remember when you said this. Hey coach, can you give me some life advice?" I had a kid recently that messaged me about he wanted to go to law school, but he didn't know if he should take a gap year or go straight to law school. So we talked about it, we chatted it up. Like for me, that makes it all worth it. All the stuff that coaches have to go through to what we deal with on a daily basis. Those are the things that I love that make me want to keep staying and keep doing it day in and day out. The athletes that I do have currently as well that are such great kids and great people. That's what I want to do it for. Yeah, I've got a lot of talented kids, but they're great people and they make me want to keep coming back. How much better can I get them when they ask me questions, when they are curious about the sport and they're students of the sport? That's what keeps me going. Being able to hey, this one could be the next big next big thing. Like that is also really exciting for me as a coach. Plus the people that I work with. You'll hear a lot of coaches who left the profession because of the atmosphere that they work with, the other coaches they work with. I got a great group of assistant coaches and a head coach that I love to be around and learn from, that has won 7 national title rings, and to learn from that. He's been where I would love to be at. So for me, those are the reasons why I stay and why I keep going, why I get up every morning.
Anybody else?
I've got a question for the head coaches. What's one thing that you learned while you were a head coach that maybe you wish you had learned before you stepped into that role?
Go ahead, coach.
That's a good question. I mean, the big, like Coach Vaughn said it all earlier about everything about the coaching aspect. But the one thing administrative wise that you have to do, and that's going to keep your job, you got to be in compliance. You got to know that compliance. You got to know your rules and everything like that. But that's something you got to do as an assistant coach. But as being a head coach, you got to make sure everybody on your staff doing the same thing, making sure they know what they need to know, and make sure that they're not doing that they're not supposed to be doing. So just being a head coach, you overseeing everybody, and you got to make sure everybody moving in the same direction. Uh, Coach Vaughn, you might want to add to that.
Yeah. Me, I think the biggest thing in my career has been knowing the difference between a job and the right job.
Yeah.
Right. I've had a job before in my career where it was the highest I've ever been paid in this profession. And I'm not gonna front, it was the worst job ever. I remember having a doctor's appointment, and my doctor said, "Hey coach, what do you do?" And I told him, "I'm the head coach at such and such university." And doctor looked at me and said, "Coach, if you don't change jobs or change careers, you're gonna die." And that's eye opening. And to be totally honest, I when I look back on it, I took the job for the wrong reasons. And I didn't ask the questions that I knew I should have asked because of the wrong reasons. And it just didn't work out. And I learned a very valuable lesson that money doesn't have to figure me out. It doesn't have to figure you out. But the one thing money will always do is it will always figure itself out. And it wasn't the student athletes, it wasn't the parents, it wasn't any of that. It was just I took that job for the wrong reasons, and I tried to make the best of it. And when it turned on me, it was kind of like, you know what, I should have asked those questions from the jump. And so I felt like I had dove headfirst into it. And then after that, I had to realize like I couldn't beat myself up for having that. It all happened for a reason. I would beat myself up for where I wasn't or where I thought I should be. And I had to learn to kind of get over that a little bit. And I think now, since then, I have learned to be my unapologetic self a little bit more. And it's given me more freedom. I have stresses, but I don't remain stressed. And now I'm what? God, I'm 10 plus years removed from that job. So even though I have my stresses now, I'm way happier where I am right now than I was 10 plus years ago chasing the dollar. Right. So I really had to learn thanks, babe. I really had to learn, just kind of how to be myself. I've had successes in this sport and I beat myself up for not continuing that journey and being where I thought I should be. And I just had to learn exactly just be where your feet are. Be where your feet are and enjoy the good, the bad, and the indifferent for all of this stuff. I'm thankful for it all. So if not, I'm not where I am today, and I'm not with the people who I'm with. I haven't met the people who I've met if it wasn't exactly for the journey that I'm on now. So I'm very appreciative of it. Like I say, I have no regrets. My life is good. My life is good. So, anybody else with another question? We got some time. Come on, fellas.
So I got one for the head coaches. From my point of view, looking in, how come track isn't as nurturing to his younger coaches like other sports? And I don't know if it's because we don't have a lot of coaching spots like a football or basketball does, but I see track is not like that with his younger coaches. We got to struggle to get it. When I
Mhm.
see my friend who just hit 30 making this in football, I see my other friends coaching basketball doing this with track,
Yeah,
make $10,000 and do it for 2-3 years, and now you get your shot. It's not
yeah.
about the money, but sometimes the opportunity too. And it's like, man, when I get that shot, it's because I'm young. Is it because of what is it? So I don't know.
It's the curse of youth. Like, right, when you start in this business and they tell you don't have enough experience, well, shoot, how do I get enough experience when I don't, I'm not getting a job, right? So, again, I think it's just finding the mentors. I think a lot of what we have to do in this sport is one on one and adding a plus one and a plus two to it, and just finding the right fit for you. Trust me, when I started, there was no USTFCCA as we know it, right? Everything was USA Track and Field, which used to be TAC, the Athletic Congress, and that started to kind of expand. So we're still 20 plus years into what USTF, CCC, CA, whatever it is. We're still young in that, right? So, and the other half is, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, Coach White, but I think we have a value problem in our sport.
Mhm.
I think the ads, the presidents, the principals don't have value because they don't understand it. And I've said this before in private with other coaches. America is we're attention deficit disorder, right? So people don't want to sit through a 6, 7, 8 hour meet, and
Mhm.
especially something they don't understand. I mean, we're a sport that heavily uses meters in a country that rather have inches and feet,
Mhm.
right? People don't want to sit through a 10K. A good 10K is exciting. People don't want to sit through the pole vault. I've been blessed to be around 19 footers. It's a beautiful sport when it's executed at a high level. And I think sometimes we just throw people in the sport. And I noticed this sometimes even in high school where we when I coached high school, I saw people that were just babysitting the sport, just collecting a stipend for whatever reason. Why? Because those people in there didn't have value enough for the sport to actually have coaching for it, to actually have somebody that was going to take it seriously. I mean, think about it. Like, go into the high school realm with athletes. Nobody ever has to work. Athletes do not have to work during football and basketball season, but they always have to work during track season, right? That's value right there. You don't value the sport enough to take it seriously, but I got to get this football scholarship. I got to get this basketball scholarship. So I got to be at every AAU basketball tournament, every 7-on-7 tournament, and all of that. But you won't go to track camp, right? So it's just, where are we putting our money? Where are we putting our time? Who are we putting in positions to advocate for the sport? All of that. I mean, I've been at universities where the sports supervisor has no clue, what a block is, much less how to use it, right? Doesn't know, that there's an NCAA regional meet, or doesn't know, there's NCAA indoor championships, or doesn't know the difference between indoor and outdoor events. And, so it's a value problem amongst all the sports, amongst the people who lead our sports on our campuses, that just don't understand or have a value, or don't want to sit down and learn the value of the sport, right? So that's my 2 cents on it.
Coach White, I promise to let you talk. Can I?
No, you
Being in like high school right now, being a head coach of a high school team, something I've noticed coming from the college ranks, being a head coach in college from being a head coach in high school now, I've also learned, at least being around, I won't say my team's particular, but at least in the area right now, one of the things I've noticed is too, kind of piggybacking on you, Coach Vaughn, not just the respect, but a lot of people just think track and field, anybody can do it. And I don't think people think you just literally just run. And if you're fast, you're fast. So I think not a lot of people understand the technical aspect of it. And I think a lot of these high schoolers that I have now too, they just think that, there's no technical aspect of it until they get to us, because a lot of, at least in the youth right now, in my area, they're starting to take it more seriously, but a lot of coaches are just parents in my area as well, though, too. So they're just doing it because, it's a hobby for their kids. And in my area, track and field, I'm one of the advocates. I'm trying to get it away from that. It's not just a hobby. It's something that, trying to bring more excitement to it. But yeah, one of the problems that I've noticed being a coach is a lot of administrators and a lot of parents and a lot of spectators, they just think it's something, they undervalue it because they just think anybody can do it. And, somebody that specializes in throws, not just sprints, I would love to see someone just pick up and try to throw the hammer or try to throw javelin. A story like my first time ever picking up a javelin, I dislocated my shoulder because I thought I could just get up there and just chuck it like a football. So I think being able to preach a little bit more to the youth, though, too, would and have them listen. But I think that would help a lot, though, too. It's just, like I said, a lot of people just think track and field is the easiest sport to do, and there's no aspects of it, not learning the little aspects of it. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, like people thinking Tariq Hill is gonna blow the doors off of Noah Lyles just because he's in the NFL.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
So
that's
kind of like what Coach Kaplan said. I think one of the issues that I've dealt with my first year of head coaching in this area is kind of like y'all said, they don't value the sport. I've had, and I hate to say this, but I had to dismiss a kid off the team because his parents just did not value our sport or our time. And she actually said to us that, okay, track practice is his time there. It's my time to do what I need to do. And, and I tried to stress to her, like, okay, we take this serious. We're not just out here as like a after school getaway program or a time for you to go get your nails done or anything like that. Like, we are actually out here trying to grow young men and women. We're trying to teach them a sport, a skill that could potentially land them a college scholarship. And so I think that's one of the things of that I ran into this year with this area is that those parents don't value, and even like you said, administrators don't value the sport. And this lady actually told me, she said that, well, I'm on my time right now, so I'll come get him. And this was an hour and a half after practice was over with. So, but I just felt like that was like, you don't value us and our sport and our time. So, But I do have a question. I don't.
Yeah, come on.
So, and I have an answer to this, but and this is for anybody. How do you value, or how do you define success in your program beyond the championship without winning the championship? What do you consider a successful season in your program or in your position group or whatever? Like, how does anyone define that?
Yeah, I'll go first because I did a whole lot of personal development before I got into coaching, and I've done all the podcasts and stuff. How I define it, I mean, it's different for everybody, but how I figured out that I'm doing a successful job, or my group is doing something successful, beyond what we do on the track, beyond what we do at the championship, is how do they respond with each other. I think I'm being successful. An example, I had a girl, she's second all time in school history. She was finished 45th in the country indoors this year. And I put something in the group chat, and I was like, oh look, she made it to USTF, CCCA, weekly honors, whatever. And the whole group chat goes kind of crazy, right? But it doesn't go crazy when I text. I'll be like, hey, practice at 2:30. Nobody cares. But I posted, I text them that, and they're all celebrating her success. They don't, yes, they care about their elite kids, but they care about her success. Had an athlete, we were at University of Illinois doing long jump, and he PRs 20 centimeters. And I don't even, my phone goes off. I'm like, who's texting me during a meet, and it's our group chat going off. All the jumpers are like, you're posting about it. They're watching live results. And to me, that is success. That anybody can have, a PR or have a good meet, and everyone else in the group is just going to be happy for them. They're going to uplift them, and they're going to be excited to get to work. That to me is very successful, because it showed, especially this year, having been in my second year here, that our jumps group went from 5 points this year at conference to, I think it was 16 points, right? That's 3x. That's huge, right? And hopefully outdoors is more. But that shows because I've been successful in nurturing these kids and creating the culture in our jumps group, and obviously in our sprints group as well. And to me, that is very successful. That is more important because they're making friends, not just teammates. This is people they're rooting for, not, hey, I have to root for this person because they're on a team. I'm rooting for them because I care about them as a person, not just track and field. And when I tell every recruit, every athlete, is track is something you do, it's not who you are. And to me, I'm being very successful in creating that culture because they're rooting for the person. They're not rooting for the event. They're not rooting for marks. They're rooting for that person to be successful. And for me, that is what success is. And I'm seeing it along both the groups I coach, and both the jumps and the sprints. And I'm seeing it, with them when I coach the relay too. They care for each other. They're crowding each other, and I love taking videos of them going crazy for each other. To me, that's successful. And that just bleeds into why we, our program specifically has won so many championships, is because the athletes root for each other as people, not as just athletes. They want to see each other succeed. So, that's how I define it.
Man, Coach Alex, I really like what you said, and we kind of do the same thing at our place. After every meet, I make a list of all the kids that PR that week, maybe had an indoor PR or outdoor PR. We do a lot of the same things. I like what you're doing, and everything you said, you hit it right there on the nail.
Yeah. I mean, for me right now, are we responding appropriately? Right. We took it on the chin indoors. So I want to see how we respond. Right. So how are we responding academically? How are we responding athletically? How are we responding in practice and in the weight room? How are we responding? Are we maturing? When we make a mistake, how do we respond to those things? When we're successful, how do we respond to that? Part of success is learning how to handle it. Are we getting arrogant? Are we getting overconfident? Do we think we still don't have to work? Or, how are we responding to things? And are we happy? Right? Like, it's a grind enough, right? And the grind is hard. But, is my staff happy? Do they want to come to work? Does the team want to come to practice and go to the weight room? Or do they want to get better? But are we enjoying this experience? Yes, I want to win. I do. But again, it's a culture that you got to create to get to that point, and then you got to learn how to survive it, because the Southerns of the world aren't going to make it easy for us. The Alabama States aren't going to make it easy for us. So we've got to be able to enjoy these processes, as we learn how to respond from adversity. Because, every team, I don't care, Florida faces adversity. All these top teams, all these first, what we call first world teams, they are facing adversity. And how do they respond? Because that response is part of your culture. So, I define that, in my success. So, just the response. Are we growing up? Are we happy?
I just want to piggyback off that because I liked what you said, and I think part of success is learning how to fail. It's, when you look yourself and you don't have your best meet, you don't have your best workout, you don't have the best week of, academically, or maybe you broke up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. How do we learn how to manage these failures and not let them affect the other aspects of your life? Are you have a bad meet, are you turning around and pointing the finger at your coach saying, oh, you gave me a bad race plan? Or are you just simply gonna, we always say, one thing we say at Florida is, if we give you something to do and you do it to a T, then we can look back on ourselves and say, what did we not do right to prepare you? But if you don't do what we ask you to do, that's on you. So you have to learn how to fail. That's part of any sports, part of any job, it's part of life, is failing. And I mean, if you look at how we did at the SEC, I think many people would say we failed, but we come back. And Coach Holloway said it in the team meeting when we were out there, he said, they don't want to see us outdoors because we're going to learn from our failure. We're going to leave it here and we are going to be better, because if you look at it, we couldn't be any worse.
Yeah, and that man has been right a lot. And I saw it, and the first thing, because I know Coach Holloway and he's mentored me, the first thing I thought was, they're going to respond. You ain't going to want to see them Gators outdoors. They're going to be a problem. So, yeah. I mean, we all define success in a different way, but I think the one thing that we're all doing is pursuing excellence. I think that's the common denominator in everything. We're all trying to pursue excellence. We're never going to catch perfection, but we can catch excellence. So, but with that, I don't want to go too far over time. So, what I want to do as we begin to close is give everybody an opportunity to kind of, share who've been positive influences in their coaching career, and give, and in addition to give your flowers out to people, whoever you deem necessary, as we begin to close things out. I'll start with Coach Seppi down at the bottom there. You go first, my brother.
Well, first and foremost, I have to thank my father. He's never was my coach, but he was my, may as well have been. I still call him every day after a track meet, tell him how my guys did. He likes hearing about it. He's now, he knows every one of my athletes, even if he doesn't know their faces. I still also keep in touch with, my high school coaches as well, Coach Nick Klofsky, and Bill Stengel. Bill Stengel was a thrower at the University of Washington. So I still reach out to them frequently for advice on how to coach and how to approach situations that come up. And, I did the math before we started. Coach Vaughn, I've known you since I was 17. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Those clinics at UW, man. I remember those.
Yeah. So, even though, our paths never crossed after that, I still try to keep up with you and listen to when you're dropping some bars, because it does help. And also my collegiate coach, Dustin Ainsworth, he was a 400-meter hurdler at the University of Idaho. But he helped me accept where I was in my athletic career, and let me know that, it's not about chasing, as much as we want to chase this championship or that result. It's about growing as a person and using this gift that you have to take advantage of opportunities. So those are the coaches that have impacted me. I still try and keep in touch with all of them, because as much as success as we might have, we can always grow and get better.
Amen to that. Who's next?
I'll go, since I'll just go down the order. First person I want to thank is, my twin brother. We've been together for, our whole lives, and he pushed me to take this opportunity and be okay with, wanting something more for myself. So, that's for him. So thanks to him. And then, thank every head coach that I've worked under, I've been very, very lucky to not have a bad head coach. I think they all rooted for me. They all led me to the next job. A big one is one of my coaching mentors is Brenner at Harvard. He's the assistant coach there, and he really fought for me for the last couple jobs that I've had, and he's taught me a lot, especially the pole vault. I really don't like coaching it. I'm glad I don't have to coach it anymore, but he taught me how to do it well and make sure I'm helping the kids, and he helps me with a lot of other things. But he's rooted for me, and he's 30 years my older, and he's just a great guy. And Coach Patrick, he's the head coach here at Arkansas State, and he treats me like one of his sons. He mentors me and everything, and wants me to get better. And he said that when he interviewed me, this position is a mentorship, and I want to mentor you for at least 3 years. I want that commitment from you, and then from there, if you choose to leave, that's fine. But I want someone who's going to be loyal for 3 years, and that's what he told me. And I was like, yeah, I'm on board. And knowing that he wanted to mentor me, I was very, very easy for me to say yes to that. And then, thanks to Coach Vaughn for being, letting me say my stuff and give me a place to speak, and hopefully someone somewhere got something, some value from me. And feel free to always reach out. I'm down to connect and help someone that is maybe not where I'm at, or maybe wants to get to where I'm at. I'm always there to help coaches no matter what it is. But yeah, thank you again. Thank you for being on here. Thank you all for listening as well.
I go next because I got a few people that I got to thank. My high school coach, Bill Jones, he coached at Donaldsonville High School, Dutchtown High School. He's the current girls coach at Episcopal High School. He kind of got me into coaching track and field. I got my coaching mentor, Coach Boucher Snyder. Used to be the jumps coach at LSU, and coached at ULL and Glenn and St. James High School. That's like my rival high school right down the road from me. Got me into this Southern coaching group. Coach Boucher Gnada. One of my best friends in life, Coach Jimmy Joseph. He's been pushing me for years, over 30 years. We played everything together. He's the recruiting coordinator at LSU. Brian Johnson, he gave me my first opportunity to coach collegiate track and field and everything. We talk a whole lot. He's one of my greatest friends in life also. Uh, Coach Vaughn, I've been talking to Coach Vaughn for the past few years, even though he is at one of my rival schools. I always call Coach Vaughn up and get some advice from him, and he helped me. Day to day, we talk a whole lot. So I appreciate that, Coach Vaughn.
My
And
man.
last but not least is my wife. She's actually our strength coach at Southern, and she actually coached the shot putters, and she helped me a lot, from our day to day things. And I'm gonna say one more thing. My staff, Coach Freddie Glover and Coach Ware and Coach Esau, there's some good people too that help me out every day on a daily basis.
Yes, I'll go next. I want to shout out my wife, man. She keeps me grounded. She just my support system. When I come home, I'm frustrated because I'm the only I'm the only coach. So I don't have any assistants or anything like that. So a lot of times I come home, I'm frustrated because okay, whatever, you guys get it. But she keeps me grounded. Coach, my athletic director, for giving me the opportunity to be a head coach, taking a chance on me, and realizing, understanding, I come from with a different mindset of trying to grow young men and young women, just to be better adults, be better citizens. Coach Tucker over at Eastern Washington, man, when I got the job, I reached out to him, and he was, I told him, I said, I've never coached indoor track, so I don't know anything about indoor track. And he was just like, man, just relax. Coaching. If you know coaching, you can coach. It's a few different things that you're gonna have to learn, but that's what it was. And he told me, let me know, you can always call me if you got any questions. But we had a real good conversation. Gave me a lot of knowledge, that I held on to and implemented in my first indoor season. Coach Ken Johnson gave me my first start at AAU. He helped me with my patience, learning patience with new athletes, with young kids that has never run track. So I really, really thank him a lot for that. Coach Danny Mitchell, another one of my frat brothers that I can call anytime with all kinds of knowledge that's just going to because I don't know everything. I'm trying to learn. I'm always trying to learn. Even if I think I know something, I might second guess. I'm like, let me call somebody that I know that knows. So I just want to thank all of those people, man. I want to thank you guys for even letting me get on this call with you guys, man. I'm like totally geeked about it. I've been talking about it all day with my wife. She's probably tired of hearing it, but yeah, that's it, man. I appreciate it.
Shout out your frat too. Shout out your frat.
Hold on. I'm gonna represent.
There you go. There you go. Ain't
I'm
nothing
gonna
wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
But yeah, man.
I wear mine all the time too.
Yeah,
Now,
you
so,
have to.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll go. I got a couple mentors that have helped me out a lot. I'm one. They give me a hard time because I ask them so many questions. One being my coach from college, a guy Rochelle Black. He's coached at Lincoln Memorial University. He taught me how to be a man. He didn't just teach me how to run 400 meters. So, he has played a big role in just getting me to understand what a coach really is. And then my other mentor that he actually introduced me to is Lane Fletcher, the coach down at University of Louisiana, pole vault coach. And yeah, I mean, I had two guys this year go to nationals at Texas Tech, and I called him probably an average of 2 times a day. What the heck do I do with two guys this talented? And he really helped me out, and it was really cool. I was sitting right next to him at Texas Tech, and we got to watch my guy Dotavis Pope be the first guy in school history to run 6'7" in the 60, and I was like, that was just a really cool moment, a little full circle moment for us. And those two guys have helped me a lot. And then obviously my family, they back in Tennessee where I'm from, and it was a kind of a big deal when I moved out here 15 hours away from home to take a job in a town none of us had ever heard of in Jacksonville. But they supported me because they know that I want to coach. So shout out to them too. But that's all I got.
Very good.
I guess I'll go. First, I want to thank my family too. My dad, my fiance, because they're the ones who have to hear about everything every day. As for all of us, as much as they probably get annoyed all the time about hearing about the kids that they're never gonna, they most likely won't get to meet all the time. But so I want to thank that. But I also want to thank my coaching mentor, Stephen Kimes. He's the head coach at Delaware State University. Without him, I wouldn't even be in track and field. I'd be on the couch with a broken shoulder. So I want to thank him because he's the person I call with any questions I have. Also, Joe Dare, somebody I worked with closely when I was the head cross country coach at Goldie Beacom. He's the head track coach. Somebody I bounce ideas off every day too. So without those two, and I wouldn't be where I am in the track world either. So yeah, just want to thank them. Even today, I had a big opportunity, a coaching opportunity come about. First person I called besides my family was Stephen Kimes. So yeah, wouldn't be where I am without them, and yeah, grateful for
For me, I say my high school coach, man, he got me doing track. For him, I wouldn't be doing track. I guess I get my creative juices from him. I remember back in the day, he'll go to the shed, get a box, a pole, some tape. He'll make something up, and we'll do the drill. So I think I take that from him. Just being creative with practice, keeping it fun for the kids, not being stale, just always doing something. So for him, I'll probably be doing track. So I still call him to this day, and now I'm calling him to recruit kids. So, and as far as college, I mean, it's some coaches out there that I can call and get advice from. Of course, Coach Vaughn, I'm with him every day, so he know what that is. But there's some coaches out there, like, I name a few, like Coach Barnes at Purdue, Coach Jimmy down at LSU, Coach Chu at TCU, Coach Carter at Mississippi State. I call these guys and they hit me back, they give me advice. So it meant a lot to me when, coaches in the game you look up to reach back down to you and then hit you back up. So names like that just keep me going and give me good advice. So that's kind of some people I lean on, and shout out to them.
Hey, Coach Vaughn, excuse me. I got to name a couple more people because I left my college
Come on.
coach. I'm
Come
sorry.
on.
All right, Sean Brady. He was the former jumps coach at Texas A&M. He was my head coach in college. He's the head coach at Catholic High. Ramona Pega recruited me in high school. She's the former American record holder in the women's shot put. Justin St. Clair was my second throws coach in college. He's right now the head coach at University of Nebraska. And Brian Munshine was my last throwing coach in college. They helped me out a lot too. And
There you
Steve,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'll go next. So for me, man, it starts at home. Growing up, my dad being a coach, my older sister head coach. She got her first head volleyball job at 24. So our family dynamic has always been extremely unique. It's not very often where you get to call, your dad, call your sister, to learn how to go through things, how to go through conflicts at home with parents or dynamics of the workplace. So I'm very lucky that I get to have them just a phone call away. My high school head track coach, Harvey Noyola, he's now the head track coach at Judson High School in San Antonio. And the man who gave me my first job was Coach Efren Ambrice. He's the head coach at Harlingen High School, where I graduated from. And now that's kind of our coaching tree now. My college coaches at UTSA, Coach Jackie Richards and Coach Kareem Thompson.
Yeah, my people.
Yeah, so I've called Coach Street. I'm coaching sprinters for the first time. Well, not the first time. I've always coached hurdlers, which are sprinters, but some people, high school people, don't know that. So I've always coached sprinters, but now I'm only sprinters, and I've called Coach Street just about every year in the fall as I'm gearing, because football and track in Texas, they're both meccas, and I'm in a football school, and in the fall I can't really think about track because we got so much going on. So I find my weekends or my time to sneak away, and Coach Street has helped me out a bunch. Coach Jackie, she gave me she sent me my first private kid that I coached when I graduated. I would kind of help out as a fifth year senior, kind of lead our hurdle group and stuff like that. And that first year out of college, she said, "Hey, I got a kid that wants to looking for a private hurdle coach, and you're the first person that came to mind." And that was 2017, and here I am now in the DFW. And I have to give one of my last shout outs to Coach Jason Johnson. He's a coach here, the hurdle coach here at the school that I'm at now. And I met him at a coaching convention a few years ago. And when the spot opened up, and this was part of what you guys have talked about, but being around great people. He's a hurdles coach. He knows I'm a hurdles coach. We've stayed in touch, sending each other videos and, hey, look at this kid. Can you help me out with this? And I got this kid doing this. Can you help me with this? Like, that's how we stayed in touch. And he said, "Hey, I want you on my team now, even though I'm a hurdle coach and you're a hurdle coach, come over here and add some value to our sprints group." So, like I said, people don't get that many opportunities where I'm from to move 9 hours away. I don't know. Coach got off the phone. He's 15 hours away and he's across the country. I'm 9 hours away and I'm still in Texas. And not very many people get that opportunity, man. So I'm just, like I said earlier, living out my dream. Happy to help. I've nothing that I have or do is mine. I've gotten stuff from everybody, and everyone's been willing to help and share. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. Coach Vaughn, thanks for reaching out and allowing me to join you guys. And it's been awesome.
Appreciate
I
it.
forgot. Shout out to Coach Adam too, man. Northwestern, man.
Shout
out
yeah.
to Ryan at Tech. Got those two names, but yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Good people. Good people. I'll get my flowers out. My wife, who's tuning in from Paris, France on a work trip. My daughter who's in New York City, living her best life. Obviously my parents, my sister, my nieces and nephews, my cousins and my teammates and my coaches, anybody who's ever hired me from Ms. Woodall at Bryan Station High School and RN Ball at Titusville High School, all the way to Dr. Travion Scott, who's the AD here. Appreciate all of y'all on this journey. So I want to close out just kind of giving my little words of wisdom, and my words of wisdom literally come from making enough mistakes in my life and listening to people who have poured into me. So my word of wisdom for today is just remember, if God meant us to handle more, He would have made the day longer. There's a reason why there's only 24 hours in a day. Okay, we don't have to be everything to everybody every time. So sometimes learn to put stuff down, pick it up tomorrow. That work's still going to be there. That's a Coach Holloway thing. When he told me that when I first became a head coach, that work's still going to be there in the morning. Okay. Spend time with your family, spend time with your support system, make time, step away if you got to, take a day if you got to. This job is already hard enough. So make sure you protect, like in the words of Marshawn Lynch, protect your chickens. Okay. So, we got 24 hours in a day, man. You need 8 hours of sleep, but you need to also carve out time for your family and your friends. Okay. So that's my words of wisdom. I appreciate everybody for showing up, giving their perspectives, giving their word to the chat, and appreciate anybody tuning in live or watching this on delay on YouTube. With that, we will sign out. Y'all
Coach,
have a great.
can I give
Oh, come on.
flowers
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
make
yeah,
it really
yeah.
quick.
Come on.
Obviously, I shout out Coach Holloway a bunch, but he words can't express what he's done for me in this profession. The
Amen.
rest of the staff at Florida, especially, I want to give some quick shout outs to Adrian Mann, who's no longer there. Always someone I can always reach out to.
My friend.
Chris Zielinski, who's now at the University of Oregon. Again, always can see him at a track meet and have a good conversation, catch up more than track. Holland Shear, glad to see him back at UF and continue to work with him. He's someone that I constantly was in contact with when I left UF. From my time at MTSU, obviously, I shouted out Keith Roman for giving me hiring a 23-year-old kid who had 1 year of volunteer coaching experience at UF.
Good man.
Huge shout out to him. And then I shared an office with two amazing assistants when I was at MTSU, and I want to give them their flowers. Kamisha Ote, incredible jumper at University of Virginia. MTSU was her fourth school. We got there together, and we still, I don't know if I go ever more than 3 or 4 days without reaching out to her. And then last but certainly not least, a man who I only got to work with for 2 years, but I consider him a second father now, Raymond Bonner, high school coach, many years throughout Georgia. He was the first African-American football player at MTSU, ran for Coach Hayes, head coach for all around high school football, college football. I got to work with him and learn a lot from him when I was at MTSU, and I miss both of them, and can't wait to see them again.
Gotcha. Hey man, give my love to Welty and Coach Holloway for me, man. That those two stand 10 toes down for me, man. To please tell them I say hello. You're the second Gator on this on this podcast, man. Coach Holloway blessed us on the first episode. So for anybody tuning in, make sure you go look at episode 1 and go cop that book. Please go cop Coach Holloway's book, man. Go support good people in the sport like Coach Holloway. But with that, apologize for jumping in there on there, Alex. But with that, we'll end this off, and you guys have a great evening.